Let's play content bingo. But first, why should you care? Let's get into it, shall we? Search has changed and it's caused a big problem. The way that things used to work was people would Google and you get a bunch of blue links and they come across your website, they click on it, they educate themselves, they read some blog articles, and eventually maybe they download a form or a guide or something. And then you get their email address and your sales team can follow up with a lead, or you go into nurture mode. So that's still happening, but there's another thing that's happening now, AI search. And so this works a little bit different. Now, as you probably know, AI will summarize a lot of results, answering the buyer questions that they're searching, they're asking. And when you see the results, you may not be cited there or showing up in the results. So they're sort of eating your lunch and you're not a part of the conversation, not part of that buyer journey. So what that means is they're going to go around and they're searching all over the place on Reddit, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and they're watching videos and they're getting educated about these issues and evaluating whether your solution is going to be a good fit for them. And they're forming these opinions and shortlists before you even know these people exist. So it's definitely a problem if you're not going to be part of that buyer journey. You're getting eliminated right at the beginning. So this hidden buyer journey, they're also, they're searching wider, but they're also starting earlier. So you want to be part of the conversation and like, hey, if I could just show them what we do or our product, well, good luck, because they're going 80% of the way through their buyer journey before they're willing to take a sales call, or, something like 80%. So if that is, if you're not the person that's teaching them about this issue, not educating, you're not getting the visibility, you're not getting the trust, building the relationship, staying top of mind. You don't have a seat at the table. So the game now can't just be to get them to your website. It's sort of like flipped inside out. Instead of like trying to get everybody to you, which is still a good idea if you can pull it off, but you also have to be present where they're searching. So if they're on YouTube and you're not, someone else is educating them. If you are answering the questions that they're asking and you're helping them get from an awareness stage to the next stage to answering questions along their journey, then you're building that trust and before they're willing to talk to you. So that's the big idea here. Why video? So let's talk a little bit about the ecosystem. So people search for things, and like 90% of search is Google, right? So they also own YouTube, and they make a lot of money from revenue of ads when people watch YouTube videos. So they have a financial incentive and the ability to surface YouTube content in AI search results. And so they, because they're making $40 billion last year, I think, on this, that's a pretty strong incentive to put those into search results. And people like video too. So I look at videos, I think you probably do too, to get educated about this versus that. How much does this cost? Is it a good fit for me? Have you helped people like me before, like video case studies? All these things are very helpful, but it's the AI overview search thing, which I think makes video now more a need to have than nice to have than ever. And so this is a test that I ran recently where I created video content answering my buyer questions. So you can see there, it's probably a little small for you, but it says in the search, does video help B2B companies show up in AI overviews? And I answered that very directly. And so there I am right in the top results. Actually, all 4 of those videos you see there are my content, because I've been talking about this for a little while now. So answering specific buyer questions in their language directly and specifically gives, if you're the best answer, then why wouldn't AI show that to you? Like this is the best answer for your question. And there's a video about it, which is inherently more valuable than just text, which can be scraped and summarized, as we talked about. So what do we need to do to help a buyer buy from us? They need to know who we are, they need to know what we do, and they got to believe that we can help them with their problem. And so how are we going to show up in these places? A lot of companies I see out there are suffering from content malnutrition. They have plenty of text content, blog articles, email newsletters, things like that. And in the age of AI, like, it's getting summarized in the search, but it's also like, is this AI written content? Is this ghost written content? There's like a trust thing that's happened. This, it's not quite as trustworthy as it used to be. So a stronger mix would be, obviously a mix of video and some other formats. So just to call attention to that situation. I like to talk about the idea of surface area, because you're trying to cover as many of these areas where people are searching as possible. And that's why we're getting into the bingo idea here. So the buyer stages, buying journey is, typically called like Tofu, Mofu, Bofu, which is top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. And so in the beginning, you're naming the problem, and the kind of content you might see here would be like shorts or myth clips about like what's changed or biggest misconceptions, trend clips. If you hopped on something and you got a little viral, that would be good for visibility. But that doesn't really help in the middle of funnel, right? You need to help them to that next stage of really explaining the solution. And podcasts are great because build a relationship with you, and you can they can see how you think, whether they like you. And explainer videos are great too. They're a little harder to do, but give you a little bit more of a deeper dive than the top of funnel stuff. And webinars are great. Like if you're really interested in the topic, you'll sit and watch our webinar, no problem. What about bottom of funnel? This is where you're really just proving that you're the right choice for them. So comparison cost videos, how much do things cost? Case studies, have you helped people like them before? Demos of how you actually do something. All these do a lot of work at the end to help close those deals. And with people, there's not so many people in the stage to buy all the time. So it's sort of like even more valuable. So let's play content bingo. Basically, those three stages, Tofu, Mofu, Bofu. What does your content mix look like? A lot of companies I work with kind of start out somewhere like this. They've got a podcast, maybe they've done some shorts, probably done some webinars, but they might be lacking in the bottom of funnel video case studies. I see a lot of companies that have text case studies. Those are a lot easier to do, but there's really nothing quite like a customer story saying how great a job you did helping them with their problem. So that's a big gap for a lot of companies, and a big opportunity, I'd say. But let's say you do have some video case studies, but maybe you're lacking in some shorts. So you're not even showing up, in the consideration set because they're not even aware that you exist. It's not obviously not a good situation. But if you're doing podcasts, you could be repurposing that as shorts, which, for my video content, the shorts are like 95% of all my views. So I get a lot of awareness that way. Maybe a software company might have something like this where they've done some webinars and they got some product demos, but that's just about it. And so they might have a better opportunity to get some top of funnel awareness, because a lot of software is new, and so people might not even know it exists. So what squares would you want to cover first? What's your priority? I would look at like, what is the big business problem that you're having? Like, do people not know you exist? Or are you having trouble closing? Is like your middle of funnel the place where people are getting stuck? So just prioritizing those, covering those areas where buyers are kind of getting lost in the process and the buying journey. And that would probably be a great place to start. And I like to say, like, the next video to make is probably the one that they're already searching for. They're asking questions right now, and you could, because we're early, you could probably own some of those, right? You could be the video answer that shows up like mine did. So what are some possible plans? Maybe you could do one video for each of those stages of the buyer journey. Maybe like you hear a lot of the same questions, and so there's kind of like maybe a couple that come up all the time. You could just start there and help create those rocks across the stream, like the awareness, middle, and bottom of funnel, one each. You could also maybe have a little more surface area and a little more data. You could do like the top 10 questions you get asked all the time. This is the strategy I'm advocating for most companies, because you probably know what the questions are. And if you haven't made a video answer, the opportunity is right there for the taking right now because we're early. Another one might be there's an elephant in the room. Working with a client that has a LinkedIn automation tool. And she says there's like one big thing that always comes up is people don't know if they can trust it because they don't want to get banned by LinkedIn because you're not supposed to use automation tools. So that is like the ideal video for her to basically address that issue and, put that thing to sleep forever. So there's also a cost of inaction. Because we're early and this is new, the window will close, I think, at some point, and it's going to be harder to kind of get a seat at that table later with video content answering buyer questions. So it's cheaper now, and you can also have the advantage of being part of the training data for the next LLMs. So if you don't do that, then you're probably going to be increasingly invisible as that starts to fill up. And it's just going to be harder to earn visibility and trust because video really is the fastest way to do that, and other than being in person, because people can, get to know you, build the relationship, seeing is believing, like all those things that video can do for you. So the offer I have for you now is I'm doing a YouTube page audit, and we'll do content bingo on your page if you have one. And if not, we could still look at it. The idea is that by identifying the holes, I can help you prioritize what might be like a couple low-hanging fruit options to help get you a little more business. So it's easy, free, and I'm not going to bug you. So just reach out if you want to take advantage of this offer. Okay, good luck out there.